بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
He says, O Yazid, allow me to go on this piece of wood. Doesn't say Mimbar. Allow me to go on this, not Mimbar. He says, ala hadhihi al-a'wad, this collection of wood that you have made here. Why does Imam Zainul Abidin describe that platform as a piece of wood and not Mimbar? And this is where we see that, Imam is now teaching us the importance of this platform used in the Zaf Sayyid al-Shuhada. If it is used to proclaim the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the greatness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the haqq and haqiqat and truth of Rasulullah, and the reality of the status of Ahlul Bayt, then this is a Mimbar. But if this is used for a purpose opposite to that, then this will not be a Mimbar, this will just be a piece of wood. Collection of woods, compiled for people is just a chair, nothing else. And this is where you will see more clear in the words of Imam Zainul Abidin, where even before asking Yazid that let me go on this piece of wood, he actually addressed the speaker himself. When the speaker started talking ill about Amir al-Mu'mineen and his family, and started praising Muawiyah and his family, our Imam says, وَيْلَكْ أَيُّهَا الْخَاطِبِ. Condemnation be to you, O the speaker. اشتريت مرضات المخلوق بسخط الخالق. You have bought the pleasure of a human being at the expense of displeasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. فَتَبَوَّأَ مَقْعَدَكَ مِنَ النَّارِ. And by doing this, you have actually secured your place in the Jahannam. I tell you, my brothers and sisters, for whatever issues that we have the answer there in the Qur'an and the Sunnah of the Ma'sumeen. We don't really have to go here and there. Amir al-Mu'mineen in Nahj al-Balagha, there is a saying compiled by Sayyid Rizvi, is saying number 147. This is a very lengthy and very interesting conversation between Ali alayhi salam and Kumail bin Ziyad. He says, فَاحْفَظْ عَنِّي مَا أَقُولُ لَكَ. Remember this from me. O Kumail, remember this, what I'm saying to you. أَنَّا ثَلَاثَ. People are of three kinds in relationship to knowledge. Number one, he says, فَعَالِمٌ رَبَّانِيٌّ. Number two, وَمُتَعَلِّمٌ عَلَى سَبِيلِ النَّجَاةِ. Number three, وَحَمَجٌ رَعَاء. Dividing people into three categories. Number one, and I'll come to the explanation of that. He says people are three categories vis-a-vis knowledge. Number one, you have alim rabbani, a godly scholar. Number two, you have muta'allimun, a student who is on the path of salvation and najat. And number three, Ali doesn't want his followers to be in the third group. Either be in the first or be in the second. Never be in the third. Hamajun ra'a, riffraff or common rot. Who is alim rabbani, the first category? Godly scholar or divine scholar. Basically this refers to an individual who bases his knowledge on the revelation from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which has come to us from Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and further preserved and elaborated by the A'imma of Ahlul Bayt. An alim whose knowledge is based on that source is known as alim Rabbani. But not only because of the knowledge he has, he or she would still not be considered a scholar who is a Rabbani only on the basis of knowledge. No. The condition is that this person should be a practicing alim. Amale, alim ba amal as we call them. If they practice the knowledge that they have gained, then they become alim Rabbani. The second one he says, Amir al-Mu'minin says, muta'allim. Muta'allim means a student. But he describes him as student ala sabil najat. A student who is on the path of salvation. This refers to a student who is seeking knowledge and learning the practice from alim Rabbani. So the second group is connected and attached to the first group. And if that connection is there, they are on sabil najat, on the path of salvation in this dunya as well as the hereafter. And then he says the rest of the people, hamajun ra'a, rifraf, or the common rot. And he describes 4 signs of such people. Number 1, atba'u kulli na'iqin. They run after every caller. Basically, they are just like sheep. When somebody calls, they just follow. And this is where Amir al-Mu'minin is saying that they don't look at the background of the teacher, the background of the caller, the background of the speaker, whether what they are portraying and saying and conveying to you is based on the Qur'an and the Sunnah and the Seerah of the Prophet and Ahlul Bayt or not. They just look at the form, the style, the oratory. Sometimes people on the Mimbar think, I have already learned the art of oratory. How to speak. Mastery of language I have acquired. The expression, the way I move my hands, the way I dress up when I come on the Mimbar. But then there is no substance there. Such a person can only be useful if he is not himself an alim Rabbani, then he should be muta'allimun ala sabil najat, connected to the circle of alim Rabbaniyin, ulama Rabbaniyin. And this is something we have to realize, that is the demand of Mimbar. Otherwise this platform will not be known as Mimbar. It will just be a simple piece of wood without any worth, without any ajr and sawab at the end. An important criteria for alim Rabbani is that he makes the Qur'an his guide and does not impose his own views on the Qur'an. And again I go to Amir al-Mu'minin himself in his khutbah number 87, while describing the righteous people, muttaqi versus fasiq. It's interesting where he says that the quality of a muttaqi is قَدْ أَمْكَنَ الْكِتَابِ مِنْ زَمَامِهِ فَهُوَ قَائِدُهُ وَإِمَامُهُ. He hands over his reins to the Qur'an, and Qur'an becomes his guide and his imam and leader. When the Qur'an stops, he stops. If the Qur'an takes him to the destination, he makes that his destination. On the opposite side, describing the fasiq, he says, a sinful person, two important things. There are many other qualities also. قَدْ حَمَلَ الْكِتَابَ عَلَى آرَائِهِ. He brings the Qur'an around to his own opinions. Rather than handing over his reign to the Qur'an, so that the Qur'an becomes his qa'id and his imam, his leader and guide, he brings the Qur'an, twists it, uses the ayat and mutashabihat in order to support his preconceived ideas. Doesn't go to the Qur'an to learn from the Qur'an, rather to use the Qur'an to project the ideas that he has already conceived. And then another quality. يؤمن الناس من العظائم ويحون كبير الجرائم. He desensitizes the people regarding the major sins. So it doesn't matter. Allah doesn't care about these things. No. When there is a kabira and a saghira, the guna are divided into major and minor because a major is major. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala dislikes that greatly. And this is where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in one of the ayat he says, if you refrain from kabair, I'll forgive your other sins. Whereas a person who has fisq in him, he would desensitize the people regarding the major sins. اور یہ شبہ کی جو بات ہم نے کی ہے، خود امیر المومنین کا ایک جملہ ہے نجم البلاغہ میں، جہاں فرماتے ہیں انما سمیت الشبہ شبہتن، شبہ کو شبہ اس لیے کہا جاتا ہے لأنها تشبہ الحق، اس لیے کہ شبہ جو ہے بظاہر حق کی طرح لگتا ہے، حق ہے نہیں لیکن شبیہ ہے حق، اور اس طرح سے پیش کیا جاتا ہے. لہذا انسان کو اپنے نظروں کو ذرا کھول کے رکھنا چاہیے. بقول علامہ اقبال کے جہاں قرآن کے حوالے سے فرماتے ہیں خود بدلتے نہیں قرآن کو بدل دیتے ہیں. بھئی قرآن کو فالو کرو، نہیں ہمیں قرآن کو نہیں فالو کرنا ہے، قرآن کو بدلنا ہے. یہ جو مسائل ہیں ہمیں اس سلسلے میں اس ممبر کے تقدس کو سمجھنا چاہیے، اس ممبر کے مقصد کو سمجھنا چاہیے. عزاداری اور مجلس کے ایک مین سمبل یہی ممبر ہے، ممبر کی ذمہ داری ہے، اس کا تقدس ہے، اہل ممبر کی بھی ذمہ داری ہوتی ہے. آج کل ٹرینڈ کیا ہے؟ ہم لوگوں نے سٹائل کو دیکھتے ہیں، اب لکس کو دیکھتے ہیں. اہل ممبر ماشاء اللہ سے سیلیبریٹی کلب بن چکے ہیں، فین کلب کی بات ہو رہی ہے. یعنی کمیونٹی کی مینٹلٹی کہاں پہ جا رہی ہے؟ یہ ریئل ایشوز ہے جس کے بارے میں سوچنا چاہیے. یہ سیریس ایشوز ہیں کہ ہمیں اپنے نئی جنریشن کی ذہنیت کو بدلنا ہوگا، ان میں وہ سبسٹنس ڈالنا ہوگا. یہ جو ہے یہ کوئی مووی انڈسٹری کی بات نہیں ہو رہی ہے، یہ سٹارز کے پیچھے گھومنے کی بات نہیں ہو رہی ہے. یہاں بات ہو رہی ہے کہ یا تو وہ عالم ربانی ہے یا متعلم علی سبیل النجات ہے، ورنہ پھر ان لوگوں میں سے ہیں جو حمج رعا. اور یہی تقسیم امیر المومنین علی ابن ابی طالب نے ہمارے سامنے پیش کی.